everybody, welcome to Always Bored, Never Boring. The other day I did a quick video showing how I painted the Daleks for the Doctor Who Exterminate miniatures game, and today I thought I'd do a quick follow-up to show you how I very quickly painted up my Cybermen and their little Cybermat friends. So, like I mentioned in the video the other day for the Daleks, and if you haven't seen that, I'll briefly go over it again now. The Exterminate miniatures game doesn't have point system for building your armies. Instead, they have these cards, and you will play a scenario, and the scenario will tell you how many cards you can pick to go. So it will say, in this battle, each side has 3 cards, and then so you've got cards that represent different formations. And then once you're in the game, each model acts independently. So you could pick this card, which is a Cyber Leader, and that gives you a Cyber Leader card. A Cyber Leader unit, and the way these cards work is it shows you a picture of what you're taking and then a multiplier. So in this case it's 1 Cyber Leader. This card is sort of regular Cybermen, and there's a picture of 1 Cyberman, and then the multiplier is 4, so this card gives you 4 Cybermen. And then you also get, there's a Cybermat Swarm, so that's 1 lot of 6 Cybermats, and they're actually on 2 bases, so they count as two units in play. And then sometimes you can get Cybermen that come with little Cybermat friends. And when they've got little Cybermat friends, the Cybermats work as independent units, and when it's a swarm, it's 3 to a base. And they have ever so slightly different rules when they're in a swarm as opposed to individually. And yeah, so the game actually came with some Cybermen, some Cybermat swarms, and some individual Cybermats. So that's what I had to paint up to get this game table ready. So first of all, I will show you a Cybermat swarm, because the way these work is they gave you a plastic base, and then they gave you 3 individual Cybermats to glue onto that base. And you can see, sort of compared to my finger, Cybermats are very small. This is the same size base that a single Cyberman would stand on. I mean, I've done a super, they're not designed to be looked at up close because they look rubbish really up close. Let me take out my background with this, and then the camera will have an easier time focusing. Right. So there's a Cybermat swarm, and that's literally just glued onto the base. The base is oak brown, dry brushed with monster brown, ink wash, and then a few raised details picked out with desert yellow. And then the Cybermats themselves are, they've got a gunmetal primer, and then they've got plate mail, black ink wash, and then details picked out again with plate mail and a very, very small amount of shining silver. And they look pretty effective on the table, but don't stand up to very close examination. So that was fine with the Cybermat swarms. The individual Cybermats were a bit more problematic because they actually were each treated as an individual piece with its own base, but they were still that size, and the base only came out about 1 millimeter all the way around. That's like a tiny little oval shape. It's about 1 millimeter all the way around, and there was no way they would be fun to use in a game. You'd need tweezers to move them around the board. So I decided that I would make bases for each of my little individual Cybermat units. So I cut out circles of card, and this card is the slightly thick card you use when you're for photo surrounds when you're mounting up photos. And then I coated the card with a couple of layers of PVC, brushed it on and let it dry, and that kind of plasticizes the card and makes it so that they feel more like a plastic token, and they don't bend. And then I glued my little Cybermat friend on the top, and because they've got like this little millimeter of plastic all the way around them, I then covered it up with scree and stuff to hide the raised section on the base. And then this base was done the same way as with the other Cybermats. And you'll notice that I didn't use any little tufts of grass or anything. What I have gone for here is we shot this in a quarry look, which seemed fitting for Doctor Who villains. I would probably have gone for grey base, but because the miniatures are silver, and because, particularly in the case of the Cybermats being very small, I didn't think they were going to stand out against a grey quarry type base, so I went for more of a sort of Martian quarry. So yeah, it's brown and then with some highlights of desert yellow on the top. So I did that for all of the Cybermats, and that's just going to make them easier to use. The fact that they're on a slightly bigger base than they normally would be, but there's no reason that's going to cause a problem. So that's what I did. And then there was the Cybermen themselves. And again, we've gone for the same basing technique, which is very, very simple, very effective. It takes like seconds. And in fact, painting these units was incredibly quick. Again, it's a gunmetal primer, spray-on primer from Army Painter, and then picked out the raised details with plate mail. Washed everything with, I used strong tone ink on these. I was going to use Nuln oil, and then I forgot I was going to use Nuln oil, so I used strong tone ink. And it looks alright. And then, yeah, reapplied to raised sections with plate mail again, and a tiny touch of shining silver on the very, very, very raised areas. And it's just super quick, and you know, it gets them on the table really, really quickly. And you know, they look fine. And you know, they're not winning awards, but you know, that you get them on the table quickly, so you can go exterminate, delete. Anyway, I shouldn't have done that on camera. I look like an idiot. The one problem with these is the cyber leader. Now, with the Daleks had a leader, but the unit on the card was black, so I painted a black Dalek leader, and then you can instantly tell when you're playing the game that's your Dalek leader, because he's a different colour to all the rest. But the cyber leader looks the same as the Cybermen. Now, in the show, in the past, they've designated sort of high-ranking Cybermen with black masks, with black faceplates, or black handlebars, or an exposed brain sometimes. But this card specifically doesn't have any of that designation, and I don't know if they're going to release other cards in the future that do have that designation. So I didn't want to paint my cyber leader with the black mask and the black handlebars, because he wouldn't match the card, and then if I'm teaching the game to somebody else, that creates a level of confusion, because the model doesn't match the picture on the card. But also, if they're going to release other types of miniatures in the future, I don't want a model that's sort of painted inconsistently. So I wanted some way to make the cyber leader stand out from the rest of the units without actually looking different. So obviously the easiest way to do that is to stick something on the base. So I had a little rummage through my bits box, and I managed to find this quite gruesome skull with a bullet hole in the front of its head, and it's completely blasted out at the back. It's pretty gross, and it's a little bit gruesome for a Doctor Who piece, I think, but I think it makes it clear that this particular model is different to all of his brethren. It's just enough. It's just enough on the tabletop just to say, okay, the guy with the skull is my leader. And so that's what I did. That skull is very, very simple. That's just a monster brown base. And then, an oak brown base, and then the skeleton bone, and then a soft tone ink wash over the whole thing. And I didn't bother picking out again any other highlights or anything, because I wanted it to look very old and dusty and part of the scenery. I didn't want it to be really gleaming and bright, and I kind of wanted it to stay in the same sort of tonal range as the base, really. And I think that's okay the way it is. So there we go. There's my cyber leader, with just enough of a difference from the rest. And my entire armies now, they are ready for battle. I've got all my Daleks painted up. I've got all my Cybermen painted up. I've got all my Cybermats painted up. I'm hoping to do some videos showing the Exterminate game in action, which I hope someone might find interesting. So the next time you see these models, hopefully they will be on a war-blasted, distant planet somewhere, with a funny little man in a police box running away as fast as his legs can carry him. Until then, bye-bye everybody. Bye-bye.